After watching the previous two videos, one viewer contacted me and asked to explain the quality versus speed setting that can be seen in the details of a custom profile. Okay, that's a fair request. Let's take a look at what that is all about. Now, actually, all of the settings shown on the recommended settings of the export page have the same speed versus quality setting. It's just that Cyberlink decided to make it not visible, just like the audio settings. Now, here's something that you may not know. No matter what you set the bitrate to be, Cyberlink always has the profile setting for quality set to speed over quality, regardless of which of the recommended profiles you choose. But here is how you can change it. The secret is that you must create a custom profile. To start with, I need something on my timeline. I'll click on Use Sample Media. And then I'm going to drag the mountain biker MP4 video down to the timeline. Next, I'll just click on the blue export button at the top. Now here we see the same old export window with what I would call the standard recommended settings. It currently shows an MP file format, an H.264 codec, a resolution of 1920 by 1080, a frame rate of 2997, and finally Cyberlink's recommended bitrate of 8 megabits. What you currently see is not only my last used profile, but a good common starting point for most of your video rendering. To begin with, I'll give this a file name of recommended. And then I'm going to hit the export button. When it's done, I'm going to hit open file location just to make sure that it's there. I'll minimize the File Explorer window and then close the export window, which takes me right back to the main editing window. Now once again, I'm going to click on Export. This time I'm going to click on Custom Profile, and one of two different things will happen, all depending upon whether you already have any custom profiles saved. If you do, then it will display one of them, and you can use the drop-down arrow at the end of the custom profile name to bring up any other custom profiles that you may have saved. If you don't have any custom profiles already saved, a window will open informing you of that and ask if you want to create one based on the current settings. Now in my case, I have a previous custom profile that appeared, but as you can see, it is set for 4K at a high frame rate of 5994. I can change those right here back down to 1920 by 1080 and 2997. And now that I've lowered the resolution down to 1080, the bit rate also dropped from 40,000 to the recommended setting of 8,000. Now everything matches the original recommended setting we first looked at and used. If I wanted to make my changes a permanent change to this custom profile, I can click on Save, which I'll do right now. In order to get to the quality setting, I need to click on the Edit Profile icon. Now look down at the bottom of the tab and notice the setting for Speed versus Quality Indicator. It is set for Speed mode. In order to accomplish this change, I'll click on the Video tab at the top. On the Video tab, we can see the resolution, frame rate, and bitrate options where we made those changes back in the export window. And just below the bitrate setting is the magic speed and quality indicator, which, as you can see, is set for speed. I'm going to click on Quality Mode. That's all there is to it. This profile is now set for quality over speed. I'll click on OK to return back to the export window. I'll give my export a file name of quality. And then I'm going to click on Export. When it's done, I'll open the file location, and if I hover over the recommended file, it is just over 30 megabytes in size. When I hover over the quality file, it's about the same size. Now next, I'll play a few seconds from each file, and you try to see if there are any differences that you can spot. First, the recommended file. And now the quality file. If you're like nearly everybody else, including me, they look identical. Now, Cyberlink provides no documentation about the speed versus quality function, but there have been multiple discussions on their user forum over the years. The consensus that I gather is that most users see no difference in the change to the speed or the quality. However, if you are a real nerd or geek, or maybe both, you would know that you must use VMAF, VMAF, to determine any difference in the encoding. VMAF stands for Video Multi-Method Assessment Fusion, and if you have no idea what that is, then you should be happy with your life. If you know what it is, and worse, how to use it and interpret the results, then we all have to pray for your safe return to the human race. Simply stated, VMAF will show all kinds of charts with multicolored dots and graphs showing differences in encoders and what happens to the encoding at various resolutions. It is a complicated means of showing how various encoding settings affect the video quality. I tend to use the good old-fashioned method of reviewing each video several times and then perhaps saying, hey, they all look the same to me. But I'm just a human. What do I know? The bottom line is this, that speed versus quality setting may not have any appreciable effect on your videos. I think Cyberlink may have realized this some time ago and just left all of them at the speed setting and called it good. But wait, there's more. If you have a NVIDIA graphics card, then NVIDIA provides you with a control panel that came with the NVIDIA app in which you can check for updates and perform many other functions. The interesting app is the control panel itself. I'm sure that AMD users have similar user controls for their AMD-based GPUs. Now, I'm going to go down to my taskbar and open up the NVIDIA control panel. Now, this control panel is often used by gamers to tweak the performance of their graphics and frame rates in games, but also applies to creative applications such as video editing and rendering. In the middle of the initial display, you can see that rotating green object. I'm going to click on the pause button when it shows flat to our view. Now, currently, I have all of the default settings chosen here. At the top, I have let the 3D application decide. I'm going to select the third option to use my preference, emphasizing performance or quality. This is sounding very similar to the PowerDirector profile setting of speed versus quality. As I move the slider from one end to the other, watch the area at the bottom edge of the green object. This is going to be very difficult to see, and maybe the YouTube re-encoding of this video might mask this out, but you should see some jaggies along the bottom edge while in the performance mode. In the quality mode, that bottom edge tends to look much smoother. I could just pick either option here, or maybe choose a balanced setting in the middle. But you know me, there is one more option that I just can't resist exploring. It's that second option to use the advanced 3D image settings. I'll select that, and then I'm going to click on the Take Me There. I am now greeted with what looks like a geek's paradise of multiple options to play with all day and all night long. There are 2 tabs at the top, one for global settings and the other for program settings. Of course, I'm going to click on program settings. Step number 1 says to select a program. Well, let's see if PowerDirector is listed there. I'll click the drop-down arrow, and about halfway down I find Cyberlink PowerDirector, in parentheses pdr.exe, which I'll select. Now, I'm not wearing my beanie hat with the propeller on the top, so most of these settings are absolutely Greek to me. But it's interesting what you can do here, such as set the max frame rate if you want to extend the battery life or reduce the system latency, or limit the refresh rate to slightly below your G-Sync display. But like I said, on the bottom is something like Vulkan/OpenGL present method, which I have no idea what that really means. In other words, I have no business being here. And there is one more item to consider before you even think about trying to tweak all these settings just so your modern gaming app might run faster and better. Many of the newer games rely on their own graphics engine, which means tweaking some of these NVIDIA settings might have no effect on the game. As for me, I'm going to click on Restore at the top and click Yes, just in case I accidentally change something. I'll now click on the first menu item on the left column to go back. I'm going to keep the third choice of a setting at Quality. I don't really care if it takes 1 minute or 1.5 minutes to render out my project. I'm not even sure just how much this quality setting will really affect the video, but it seems like a safe bet to me. I'll click on Apply at the bottom, and then I'm going to close out the NVIDIA control panel. Now, I've already tried running some comparison tests, and I can't tell the difference between the before videos and the after videos. I don't create any broadcast video productions, nor Hollywood feature-length movies, which means I am not going to be using VMAF anytime soon. I will make this one recommendation to you, and that is if you want faster and higher quality video production, then invest in a newer and more powerful graphics card for your computer system. If you are attempting to do video editing on a smartphone, well, good luck and you're on your own. I'm going to put everything about faster and better video to bed for now. Thanks to everybody for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. If you have a suggestion for any new subject that you want me to cover, go ahead and leave that as well. I'll see you next time.